Rian's boots sank into the soft, alien soil as he stepped off the hovering drop ship. Around him stretched a jungle unlike anything on Earth. Trees with blackened, glassy leaves, vines thick as ropes, and a mist that glimmered faintly with bioluminescent spores. Somewhere deep inside something waited. Something that had ended the lives of every human who had been foolish enough to underestimate it. The others in his group shouted and scrambled, panic in their eyes. "Move faster. Don't stop," one yelled, slipping on the slick ground. Rian stopped. He listened. The sound of the forest shifted. A low, almost musical growl threaded through the mist. A predator was near. "Stop running," he hissed. His voice was calm, but his heart thumped like a drum. "Watch. Learn. Survive." He crouched behind a thick vine-wrapped trunk and peered through the fog. Two glowing eyes reflected the dim light, moving with uncanny intelligence. Its body was massive, sleek, armored, with claws that could shred steel. Every muscle twitched as it stalked the panicked humans. The others scattered blindly, tripping over roots, shrieking. One girl fell hard. The predator's attention snapped toward her. Rian acted. He grabbed a sharpened branch and threw it at a nearby tree, making a loud crack. The predator turned. Using the distraction, Rian dashed forward, sliding under a hanging vine, and ducked behind a jagged rock formation. He exhaled, tasting the iron tang of adrenaline. Fear is natural. But panic kills faster than claws, he reminded himself. A scream pierced the mist. Rian's stomach twisted. One of the humans was gone, dragged into the shadows before anyone could react. The predator's roar shook the ground and the remaining group froze. Rian stepped out, raising his voice. "Listen to me. You can't outrun it. You have to think." His words cut through the terror like a blade. "We can use the terrain. Make it chase us on our terms." He darted across a small clearing, tossing stones in patterns, creating sounds that drew the predator's gaze. It pounced, huge claws tearing into the dirt where he had been moments ago. He slid under a fallen tree, rolling to the side as the creature's massive head slammed into the trunk, snapping it like twigs. Breathing hard, he studied its movements. It was smart, not mindless. Every attack was precise. Every hesitation calculated. This is not just hunting, it's a game, he thought, eyes narrowing. Nearby, another human froze, paralyzed by fear. Rian grabbed his arm. "Run with me. Follow my lead." He led him into a narrow ravine where the predator's size became a disadvantage. The creature tried to follow, but the walls pressed in, slowing its movement. Rian smiled grimly. Cleverness beat brute force. For now. The predator snarled, frustration rippling through its body. It leapt and twisted, trying to corner them, but Rian had already set a simple trap. A cluster of glowing spore pods that exploded with a bright flash when disturbed. One touch and the predator recoiled, momentarily blinded. The humans scrambled past it, hearts hammering, lungs burning. Rian's mind raced. Every moment counts. Every choice matters. He led the group deeper into the alien forest, where the shadows grew darker and the silence heavier. Something shifted in the mist, movement too quick to track. Another predator? Or something stranger? He couldn't tell. He only knew one thing: they couldn't afford mistakes. Finally they reached a small plateau. Rian crouched, holding a piece of jagged rock like a weapon. Sweat dripped down his forehead, mixing with blood from a small cut on his arm. Around him, the others trembled, their faces pale with terror. "You see it now," he said quietly. "We are not prey. Not if we think. Not if we watch. These creatures, they hunt, yes, but we are humans. Clever, brave, strong." His eyes scanned the forest, meeting the glowing eyes that had been following them. "And we are not helpless." The predator emerged from the mist fully, massive, terrifying, yet cautious. It circled them, growling low, nostrils flaring. Rian's pulse surged. He whispered a command almost instinctively, and the humans readied themselves, poised like hunters rather than victims. The creature lunged. Rian sidestepped, slashing with his makeshift weapon, striking a glancing blow that made it roar in shock. His heart pounded, but a grin tugged at his lips. "Not eaten. Not yet. We survive. We learn." For the first time he realized, this was not just a trial of strength. It was a trial of mind, courage, and instinct. And Rian intended to win. As the mist thickened around them and the jungle hummed with unseen predators, Rian's eyes glimmered with determination. Tomorrow they expect us to die. But maybe, tomorrow we will turn the hunt around. Rian crouched behind the jagged rock, sweat dripping into his eyes as the jungle whispered around him. The mist shifted, carrying the faint, metallic scent of the apex predator. Unlike yesterday, this creature didn't just hunt. It studied, calculated, and toyed with its prey. Its glowing eyes scanned the terrain, following every movement, every twitch, every heartbeat. "This one's smarter," whispered Jara, a fellow human, her voice trembling as she clutched a sharpened spear. It's like it knows us." Rian's eyes narrowed. "It does. And that's why we survive. Because we'll know it first." He peered through the fog, tracing the predator's shadow as it slithered among the blackleaf trees. Its muscles coiled like springs. Every step was deliberate, every motion precise. This was no blind beast, it was a master hunter. Suddenly the ground vibrated beneath them, soft at first, then with a rhythm that matched a drumbeat. The predator wasn't approaching, it was circling, hurting them. Rian's mind raced. It wants to control the battlefield. It wants to trap us. "We need a plan," he muttered, scanning the area. Above them, thick vines hung like ropes, rocks jutted out like teeth, and a stream glimmered under the alien mist. He pointed. "The stream. We can force it to follow us there. It can't move as fast in water. Use the terrain, not brute force." The humans exchanged wary glances. Fear was still there, but something stronger flickered in their eyes. Trust in Rian. He sees what they cannot. Rian moved first, tossing a rock that splashed into the shallow stream. The predator paused, tilting its head as if questioning the sound. Then it lunged faster than thought. Jara gasped, stumbling, but Rian grabbed her arm and pulled her behind a cluster of jagged rocks. The predator's claws struck the water, sending a spray of phosphorescent droplets into the mist. Its roar shook the air, but Rian's plan worked. In the stream, the creature's size became a hindrance. Its massive body churned the water, losing speed, while Rian and the others slashed, kicked, and dodged, using rocks and vines to push it back. Even so, the predator adapted. It leapt from the stream, landing silently on a higher ledge, eyes glowing like molten metal. It was learning. Rian's heart pounded. Every move counts. Every second matters. "Rian, what do we do now?" Jara whispered, voice tight with fear. "Observe," he said. "Learn. Then strike." He watched the predator's muscles ripple under its black, armor-like skin. Its head tilted, scanning them. Then, almost deliberately, it vanished into the mist, leaving only the echo of its low growl. Where did it go?" another human muttered. "Not gone. Watching," Rian corrected. He crouched lower, scanning the jungle floor. Tiny imprints in the alien soil told him the predator had circled behind. "It's setting the trap. Now it's our turn to set ours." Rian instructed the group to split into two teams. He led one, drawing the predator toward a narrow canyon lined with jagged rocks and hanging vines. Jara and the others followed his signals, moving quietly, tension visible in every muscle. The predator appeared, eyes glowing, and lunged at Rian. He ducked and rolled under a thick vine, yanking a second vine down to whip across its neck. The creature stumbled but recovered instantly, spinning to face him. It was faster, smarter than anything they had faced before, but Rian was faster in thought. He used the vines like a trap, guiding the predator toward the canyon where the second team waited. When it leapt into the canyon, the humans released their own trap. Rocks tumbled from above, vines snapped tight, and the predator growled in confusion. Rian grinned behind his rock. Even apex predators can be outsmarted. The beast roared, frustration shaking its massive frame, but it wasn't beaten. It circled, stalking them again, now more cautious, more cunning. Rian realized this was more than survival, it was a test of wits. The predator could adapt to strength, it could predict fear. Only intelligence, strategy, and bravery could overcome it. "Do you see now?" Rian said, turning to Jara. "We aren't just prey. We're predators too. We think, we adapt, we fight." He gestured to the jungle, the mist, the looming trees. "And we'll use every inch of this world to our advantage." A sudden movement in the mist caught Rian's eye. Another shadow, smaller, faster, watching from the treetops. His gut tightened. Not one but two. They are coordinating. He readied his spear, tension coiling in his muscles. The predator lunged again, claws glinting, eyes locked on him. Rian sidestepped, ducked, and rolled, feeling the ground quake as it crashed past. He jabbed a vine into its path, tripping it momentarily, and ducked under a low-hanging branch as it recovered. When it finally leapt toward the canyon's edge, Rian was ready. With a sharp yell, he signaled the humans, and together they forced it into the canyon, vines snapping around its massive frame. It roared, fury and confusion twisting its face, yet there was an understanding in its glowing eyes, mutual respect. Rian exhaled, chest heaving, adrenaline still coursing through him. The predator had tested them, adapted, and yet they survived. Not by strength alone, but by courage, by cleverness, by refusing to panic. Tomorrow, Rian whispered, watching the mist settle, they'll try again. But so will we. And next time, we won't just survive. We'll take the hunt to them. The jungle grew quiet again, but the eyes in the shadows didn't blink. The predator's game had only begun, and Rian was ready to play. The mist hung heavy over the alien jungle, glowing faintly as Rian crept through the undergrowth. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something sharp, metallic, and alive. Yesterday's predator had tested them, today promised something far stranger. Rian, did you see that? Jara whispered, pointing to a flicker in the shadows. It was fast, smaller than the apex predator, yet its presence radiated danger. It moved like it was studying us, not hunting. Rian's eyes narrowed. Yes. And that's exactly what I want to see. He stepped closer, careful not to make a sound. Fear won't help us here. Observation will. The creature emerged fully from the mist. Its body was sleek, muscular, covered in chitin-like armor that glinted in the dim light. Its claws were sharp but delicate, almost like an instrument for precise strikes. Most startling were its eyes, bright, intelligent, curious. It circled them, tilting its head as if weighing each human. Stay calm, Rian said, placing his hands slowly at his sides. We don't attack. We show we can be more than prey. The creature paused, then let out a low, vibrating hum. The sound resonated in the chest like a warning and an invitation. Rian took a careful step forward. I'm not your enemy, he said, his voice calm but firm. We don't want to fight you, but we will survive if we must. It cocked its head, its glowing eyes scanning him, then slowly, deliberately, it lowered its body, crouching. Rian noticed subtle signals in its stance. A shift in weight, a flick of its tail-like appendage. It's testing us. It's curious, maybe even intelligent enough to be reasoned with. Can it understand? Jara asked, her voice barely audible. She clutched her spear like a lifeline. Rian shook his head, but a small grin tugged at his lips. Maybe not. But it's watching. And that's our chance. He knelt, showing a gesture of non-aggression mimicking the creature's crouch. Slowly, it approached, muscles rippling beneath its armor, claws careful not to touch the ground. The first touch came as a tentative nudge to Rian's hand. A shock ran through him, electric, alive but not harmful. His heart leapt. The others watched, frozen, unsure whether to cheer or flee. Good, steady, Rian muttered. We show respect, we show courage, and it responds. Suddenly, a rustle erupted from the mist, a larger apex predator attracted by the movement. Its roar shook the trees and the smaller creature hissed, backing slightly, yet its stance was defiant. Rian's mind raced. We can't fight two at once. But maybe this one can help us. He whispered to the smaller creature, instinctively guiding it with hand gestures and soft sounds. It responded instantly, leaping between him and the incoming predator, snarling and hissing. Rian saw the shift. The apex predator froze, confused by the unexpected intervention. Wait, it's protecting us. Jara gasped, eyes wide. Yes. And we'll use it wisely, Rian said, adrenaline coursing through him. He picked up a jagged rock, tossing it carefully to trigger a distraction, while the creature mirrored his movements, circling the apex predator, keeping it off balance. Together, human and alien moved as one, a single hunting force, clever and precise. The apex predator lunged, but the smaller creature darted in its path, forcing it to misstep and crash against the alien trees. Rian used the moment to strike a shallow groove along the predator's flank, enough to warn without killing. The massive beast roared in frustration, but retreat became inevitable. When the mist finally cleared, the smaller creature crouched beside Rian, its breathing heavy yet calm. Its glowing eyes met his. There was understanding there, a recognition of respect, trust, and intelligence. You see, Rian said softly to the group. Even creatures they call forbidden, even apex predators, they can choose who is clever enough to be an ally. Jara stepped closer, still trembling. Rian, it saved us. Why would it help? Rian shook his head. Not help, it recognized strength, understanding, and respect. We survive because we earned its trust. He glanced at the creature, crouched like a silent sentinel. And it will stay with us for now. But we must not forget, it is wild. It is dangerous. And it is more aware than anything else in this jungle. The humans moved cautiously, now following Rian and their new ally. Every shadow was a potential threat, every rustle a possible ambush. Yet a new confidence settled over them. They were no longer just clever humans facing alien hunters. They were hunters themselves, forming bonds with beings stronger and stranger than any they had imagined. The mist thickened again, and the glowing eyes of distant predators watched silently. Rian tightened his grip on his spear and whispered to the small creature, now a sentinel at his side. Tomorrow they will come for us. And tomorrow we will be ready. Not just to survive, but to dominate. The creature clicked softly, a sound almost like agreement. Rian allowed himself a small smile. For the first time he felt the edge of victory, tempered by the knowledge that the forest had more tests in store. Yet with cleverness, bravery, and a new, unexpected ally they had a chance. A real chance. The alien sky burned red and purple as Rian and his small band of humans moved cautiously through the jungle. The air was thick with smoke and mist, carrying the distant sounds of predators, growls, hisses, and the metallic clicks of forbidden creatures. Rian's new ally, the sleek armored creature, stalked silently beside him, muscles coiled like a spring. "They're everywhere," Jara whispered, eyes scanning the treetops. "I can feel them watching." "Good," Rian replied, his voice low and steady. "We want them to watch. We're not prey anymore. We're the hunters." He crouched behind a jagged rock, tracing patterns in the soft alien soil. "And today we control the battlefield." Ahead he spotted the apex predators, massive and terrifying, moving through the mist as if coordinating their hunt. Their claws dug into the ground, leaving deep furrows, their glowing eyes fixed on him and his team. The smaller creature hissed softly, circling in front of Rian, alert to every movement. "Rian, can we really?" one human began, but Rian cut him off with a glance. "Yes. Watch and learn. We don't survive by luck. We survive by thinking, by planning, by being smarter than them." He signaled the others. They moved into position along the ridge overlooking a narrow canyon, where rocks jutted out like teeth and thick vines hung like snares. The humans spread silently, every breath controlled, every movement deliberate. The first predator stepped into the canyon, its massive frame dwarfing the humans, yet Rian's grin was calm. He threw a small rock into a patch of glowing spores below, creating a bright flash. The predator roared in confusion, stumbling. His humans moved quickly, guiding the creature toward a choke point lined with vines and jagged rocks. "Now," Rian whispered. The armored creature leapt into the canyon, circling the predator with astonishing speed. Rian and his team threw rocks and swung sharpened sticks, nudging the beast toward the trap. The apex predator roared, claws tearing at the vines, but each move was anticipated. Rian had studied their patterns, timing, weight distribution, and instinct. Every step was manipulated to give humans the upper hand. Another predator appeared, massive and black, its eyes glowing like molten fire. Rian's heart pounded, but he remained calm. He signaled the smaller humans to distract it while he guided the first predator into a snare of vines that snapped tight around its massive limbs. The creature thrashed, roaring, yet it could not break free. "Look at them," Jara shouted, eyes wide. "They're trapped, like we planned." Rian didn't smile. The battle was far from over. The apex predators were adapting quickly. He studied their eyes, their muscle twitches, the way their claws gripped the rock. "They are dangerous, yes. But cleverness beats brute force." He moved to the edge of the ridge, catching sight of another forbidden creature, a massive, sleek hunter with scales glinting in the mist. It circled above, waiting for the humans to make a mistake. Rian raised his hand, signaling the armored creature. They moved in tandem, herding the predator into the trap while avoiding the attention of the larger hunter. A sudden roar split the air as the apex predator broke free, its massive claws snapping toward Rian. He leapt to the side, barely avoiding the strike, and drove a sharpened rock into the creature's flank, forcing it back into the snare. The humans yelled, adrenaline surging, moving as one with their unexpected ally. "You see now," Rian shouted, voice echoing through the mist. "We are not helpless. We are clever. We are brave. We are human." The predators circled, eyes glowing with fury, but the humans remained calm, using the terrain, the snare traps, and the armored creature's speed to manipulate them. Every roar, every strike, every pounce was anticipated. Rian's team had turned the hunters into puppets, dancing to the humans' plan. The apex predator lunged one final time, but the armored creature intercepted, slashing claws with precision. The predator stumbled, and Rian seized the moment, guiding it toward the deepest part of the canyon. With one final coordinated push, The predators were contained, snarling, frustrated, yet powerless. Jara stepped beside Rian, her face pale but triumphant. I can't believe we did this. We controlled them. Rian allowed himself a small smile, looking down at the trapped predators. Yes, because we understand them. We study them. And we act when the time is right. His eyes met the glowing eyes of the armored creature beside him. And with allies like this, nothing can stop us. The jungle grew eerily silent, save for the heavy breathing of humans and the low growls of frustrated predators. Rian scanned the horizon, mist curling like smoke, and whispered, They thought humans were weak, they thought we'd be eaten. But we are smarter. We are stronger. And today we proved it. The smaller humans cheered quietly, but Rian's gaze remained on the apex predators, glowing in the mist. Respect and caution tempered his triumph. They had dominated, yes, but the forest was far from finished. More tests awaited. More predators, smarter and deadlier, lurked beyond the mist. Rian crouched, hand resting lightly on the armored creature. Tomorrow we fight again. But next time we won't just survive. We will command. We will lead. And the jungle will know, humans are the apex predators now. The mist swirled around them, hiding eyes that watched, waiting. Yet for the first time, Rian felt the edge of certainty. Cleverness, courage, and determination had turned the tables. The humans were no longer prey, they were the hunters. And the apex predators, for all their strength, had learned to respect the force that had outsmarted them. The alien jungle was eerily quiet, as if holding its breath. The mist curled like smoke around the jagged trees, and the distant roars of apex predators had been replaced by tense silence. Rian stood at the edge of a rocky cliff, his gaze sweeping the valley below. Every shadow moved with caution now, every glowing eye watched him. But this time it was respect, not hunger. Jara stepped beside him, shivering despite the adrenaline still thrumming in her veins. Rian, they're not attacking anymore. Are we safe? Rian shook his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. Safe? Never. But they know now who commands the hunt. His eyes narrowed, scanning the valley below where the apex predators prowled. Their massive forms moved cautiously, herded like prey, but with eyes sharp and calculating. They respect power when it thinks, when it dominates, when it survives. The armored creature that had become his ally crouched beside him, tail flicking, muscles rippling. It let out a low growl, not of aggression but of understanding. Rian knelt, placing a hand on its sleek armor. We did this together. We survive. We lead. From the mist, a massive shadow emerged, an apex predator thought unbeatable, its claws long enough to rend steel, eyes glowing like molten gold. It paused at the edge of the clearing, testing, sizing them up. Rian stepped forward, unafraid, voice clear and commanding. You've hunted. You've killed. You've thought yourselves the apex. But today, you will follow. The creature hesitated, its head tilting, then it growled, a deep, guttural sound that vibrated through the ground. But it did not attack. Rian signaled with a sharp gesture, and the armored creature moved beside him, demonstrating dominance through speed, precision, and calculated intimidation. Slowly, the massive predator stepped back, then lowered itself into a crouch, acknowledging the new hierarchy. Jara whispered, disbelief and awe mingling in her voice. Rian, you're controlling them. All of them. Yes, he said simply, standing tall, heart pounding with controlled power. Not through fear. Not through weapons alone. Through understanding, strategy, and courage. We are human. We survive. And we dominate. From every direction, smaller predators began to emerge, some from the canopy, some from the misted undergrowth. Each approached carefully, evaluating, testing, but none dared strike. Rian's voice carried over the clearing, calm but commanding. Step forward if you challenge me. Step back if you respect strength. Today, we are no longer prey. A sudden movement in the treetops drew his attention. A forbidden creature, faster and deadlier than any other, leapt down, landing in the center of the clearing. Its claws scraped the rocks, sparks flying. The humans froze for a heartbeat, then Rian stepped forward. You do not hunt us. You do not challenge us. You follow. Or you leave. For a long moment the creature studied him. Then, with a low hum of acknowledgement, it circled and aligned itself beside the armored creature. Rian felt a surge of triumph, but he did not celebrate. This was a test of dominance, not vanity. The apex predators below began to move in unison, herded by Rian's presence and the disciplined creatures beside him. He had turned the hunters into a coordinated force, all obeying the subtle commands of his gestures, his tone, and the respect he had earned. Every predator in the valley now understood. Humans were no longer the hunted. Humans were the apex. Jara stepped closer, eyes wide with wonder. Rian, you're like a king to them. Rian shook his head, scanning the horizon. Not a king. A master of understanding. Of instincts. Of survival. They are powerful. But we are smarter, braver, and united. That is what makes us dangerous. Suddenly, one of the larger predators tested him, lunging toward the cliff edge with a roar meant to intimidate. Rian did not flinch. With a sharp whistle and a flick of his hand, the armored creature intercepted, slashing claws in a precise, non-lethal strike that forced the predator to retreat. The humans below cheered, fear replaced by awe and exhilaration. Rian's heart pounded, not from fear but from the raw thrill of mastery. The predators, once terrifying hunters, now moved as if rehearsed, coordinated by his commands and the subtle cues of their new allies. He had turned the nightmare into a tool. He had turned fear into power. He looked over his team, faces pale but shining with pride. Do you understand now? He asked, voice ringing across the valley. We are human. We adapt. We endure. And when the monsters of this world rise, we rise higher. We are the apex. We are the nightmare. The predator's growls faded into low murmurs, a tense silence hanging over the valley. The mist swirled around them, hiding eyes that watched, waiting, but none dared strike. Rian felt the weight of the moment. Every step they had taken, every plan executed, every risk survived had led to this. Humans were no longer prey. They were the hunters, the leaders, the masters of nightmares. As the sun of this alien world began to sink behind jagged mountains, casting the jungle in crimson and violet light, Rian stood tall, side by side with his armored ally. The predators in the valley bowed, not in submission, but in acknowledgement of intellect, courage, and dominance. He whispered to the armored creature, voice low, filled with triumph and respect. We did this. We survived. And they will remember us. Humans, they thought we were weak. They were wrong. Jara looked up at him, awe in her eyes. Rian, they fear us now. But they also respect us. Rian nodded, eyes sweeping the valley once more. Exactly. Fear and respect. That is the balance. That is survival. That is dominance. And from this day on, humans are the apex predators of this jungle. And we will never forget it. The mist curled thicker, hiding distant eyes, but this time Rian felt no fear. Only the thrill of mastery, the certainty of power, and the unstoppable force that humans could become when clever, brave, and united.